A new day rises, and with it, a story America never fully knew. Dale Evans and Roy Rogers looked like the perfect couple for 50 years. Audiences watched them ride into sunsets and sing about the open trail. But behind those cameras, Dale often felt invisible inside her own life. She described her marriage as magnificent on the outside, yet quietly fracturing within. Before she passed in 2001, she finally opened up about the loneliness, the silence, and the moments that left permanent marks on her soul. Why did the queen of the cowgirls stay in a marriage that caused her such pain? The answer was far more layered than anyone imagined. Frances Octavia Smith was born on October 31, 1912, in Uvalde, Texas. Her family settled in Italy, Texas, a quiet town of roughly 1,000 people. In 1954, she requested her birth certificate after misplacing her passport. The record listed her birthday as October 30th and her name as Lucille Wood Smith. The discrepancy puzzled everyone, including her mother. Frances quietly chose to hold on to the identity she had always known and let the mystery drift behind her. Her mother taught her to read and write before school began, placing her ahead of children her own age from day one. She first performed before a congregation at just 3 years old at the local Baptist church. Each Sunday she returned, building quiet courage. Those early moments gave her a foundation long before Hollywood ever noticed her name. When the family relocated to Osceola, Arkansas in 1919, teachers recognized her ability and moved her from first grade to third in half a year. By age 11, the accelerated pace became too much. She suffered a serious nervous breakdown that frightened everyone around her. Doctors ordered months of bed rest. She returned to school at 12, already shaped by both talent and deep strain. At 14, she met 18-year-old Thomas Fox at a courthouse dance. Within 6 months, they eloped, lying about their ages to obtain the license. The marriage crumbled almost immediately. Thomas left her twice in those first 6 months. She gave birth to their son Tommy on November 28, 1928. By 1929, she was 17, divorced, and left alone with a baby during the Great Depression. She had no diploma and few skills. She returned to her parents in Memphis and pressed forward because there was simply no other direction. In Memphis, she enrolled in business courses, found secretarial work, and sang whenever a quiet moment appeared. One morning at her insurance office, her boss heard her humming through the door and offered her a spot on the company radio program. That single moment changed everything. She became a regular voice on Memphis radio stations, performing evenings after long days of clerical work. Tommy stayed with her parents on a farm in Texas because she could not support him while working city hours. The distance broke something in her, but she kept going. In 1930, she moved to Chicago hoping for bigger opportunities. Instead, they fell into desperate poverty. Doctors diagnosed her with acute malnutrition. After recovering, she moved to Louisville, where a radio station manager gave her a new name. He chose Dale Evans, saying it sounded clean and easy to announce. That simple decision became one of the most recognized names in Western entertainment history. Through all those years, she told the public that Tommy was her younger brother. From 1935 through 1946, she maintained that painful deception because studios demanded it. They required their female stars to appear young, single, and uncomplicated. The truth would have ended her career, and the lie traveled beside her everywhere she went. Hollywood noticed her growing national radio presence. 20th Century Fox signed her in 1942. She appeared alongside John Wayne in a Western that performed well at the box office. Republic Pictures noticed immediately and signed her as the perfect co-star for their top talent, Roy Rogers. Their first project together in 1944 marked the beginning of one of Hollywood's most beloved partnerships. Republic shot films in roughly 2 weeks on budgets of $50,000 each. 4 films arrived in 1944 alone, followed by 6 more through 1946. In November 1946, Roy's wife Arlene died shortly after giving birth to their son Dusty. Roy was 35 with 3 small children. Dale understood grief deeply and stepped toward him as someone who recognized how loss settles permanently inside a person. On December 31st, 1947, they exchanged vows at a ranch in Oklahoma. After their marriage, Dale finally revealed Tommy as her son, closing an 18-year secret that had grown far too heavy to carry. Roy stood beside her, and Tommy joined the family with open arms. Their television series premiered in 1951 and ran for 6 seasons and 100 episodes. The show arrived precisely when American families wanted stories of frontier spirit and moral clarity. During this period, Dale composed their famous closing theme, sketching the words on an envelope just minutes before a radio broadcast. By 1952, they had recorded it for a major label, and it played at the close of every episode, eventually becoming one of the most beloved songs in Western entertainment history. Behind all that success, their daughter Robin arrived on August 26, 1950. Doctors quickly identified Down syndrome and a heart condition and advised institutionalization. Roy refused without hesitation. They brought Robin home and loved her completely. Robin's 2 years transformed everyone around her, teaching lessons about love that no classroom could offer. She developed complications after a mumps outbreak and died on August 24th, just 2 days before her second birthday. In 1953, Dale wrote a book framed as though Robin were speaking from beyond, reaching over 500,000 readers and helping reshape how society viewed children with disabilities. Roy and Dale continued building their family through adoption, eventually raising 9 children from diverse backgrounds. Their daughter Debbie died on August 17, 1964, when a church bus accident took her life just 3 days after her 12th birthday. Roy was hospitalized at the time, and Dale had to carry that news alone. Their son Sandy died the following year at 18, while serving in the military in Germany. Some pain simply sits beyond language. Through all of this, Dale began speaking more openly about what lived inside her marriage. Roy traveled constantly and lived by a personal discipline that left little room for emotional closeness. Dale sometimes felt as though she stood completely alone inside their partnership. She described the feeling as being a guest in her own family, expected to follow his lead quietly to protect the image they had spent decades building. Roy's parenting was firm and unyielding. His word closed every discussion. Dale frequently disagreed, particularly when the children needed gentleness more than rules. One public moment where Roy dismissed her perspective on a discipline matter stayed with her for the rest of her life. She described their marriage as a cathedral with cracks. From the outside, it appeared magnificent. Inside, it carried grief, silence, and emotional distance that stretched across many decades. Still, the structure held, because both of them kept returning to it even when the foundation trembled. She published more than 20 books on faith and personal experience, writing through her pain and turning it into something others could hold. Writing was where she faced the hardest parts of her life directly. For more than 40 years, she also carried guilt about denying Tommy. Even after the truth came out, that quiet guilt never fully left. Roy died in 1998 at 86. Dale was left at 85 with memories stretching across an entire lifetime. Her health had been declining following a heart attack in 1992, a stroke in 1996, and emergency cardiac surgery in 1999. Even then, she continued speaking about faith from a wheelchair, holding to her calling until the very end. Dale passed away on February 7, 2001, at 88 years old, at her Apple Valley home with family nearby. She was laid to rest beside Roy in a peaceful garden setting with a chapel built in their honor. Their gravestones carry the names they were born with, Lucille Wood Smith and Leonard Franklin Sly. After all the roles, the cameras, and the decades of performance, the truth of who they actually were settled quietly and permanently into the stone. 2 ordinary people who lived extraordinary lives. 2 lives shaped by love and pain, by courage and faith, by grief carried with grace, and by the simple, enduring choice to keep riding forward until the very end.